Today, we are diving into the incredible ideas from James Clear's game-changing book, Atomic Habits. We're going to explore how these tiny, almost invisible changes, when you do them over and over, can lead to some absolutely massive results in your life. So, let's get right into it.
And this right here, this is the core idea of the entire book. It's not about making some huge, earth-shattering change overnight. Nope. It's all about the slow, quiet power of compounding. You can think of it like putting money in a savings account. Those small, regular deposits, they eventually grow into a fortune. Well, your habits work the exact same way.
That's exactly where the title comes from. You know, when you hear atomic, you might think of something huge and explosive, but it's actually about the opposite. An atom is the fundamental, tiny building block of a much bigger system. We're talking about a 1% improvement. Doing a single push-up, reading just one page, that is an atomic habit.
What's so powerful about this is that for James Clear, this wasn't just some abstract theory. It was born out of a real-life crisis. Can you imagine? In high school, he took a baseball bat to the face. It left him with a swollen brain, seizures, and a really long road to recovery.
So during this incredibly difficult time, he didn't focus on the huge goal of, I'm going to be a star athlete again. He couldn't. Instead, he focused on the tiny things he could control right now. Things like keeping his room tidy, really nailing down his study habits, and just going to bed on time. These little wins gave him a sense of control and confidence that started to ripple out, eventually helping him become a top athlete at his university. It's just a perfect real-world example of that compounding effect.
So how do we actually build these habits? Well, Clear gives us this fantastic, practical framework of 4 simple laws. Let's start with the first one. Make it obvious. This is all about the cue, that little trigger that kicks off the habit in the first place.
You see, our brains are basically efficiency machines. They want to save energy. So they turn our routines into automatic behaviors. I mean, you don't consciously think about how to tie your shoes, right? The problem is, this works for our bad habits too. That cue to mindlessly check your phone or to grab a cookie, it's often so subtle, you don't even notice it's happening. So how do you make those unconscious cues conscious? Well, check out this amazing example from Japan's railway system. The slash errors, operators physically point at signals and call out what they see, like signal is green. Now, it might look a little silly, but by making that action physical and verbal, it pulls an unconscious check into the conscious mind. And the results? They were just staggering, an 85% drop in errors. And this brings us to a really crucial point, a huge mindset shift. We tend to think bad habits are a failure of willpower, but that's not really the whole story. The people we think of as disciplined, they're not necessarily superheroes with more willpower. They're just better at designing their environment to avoid temptation in the first place. They make the cues for bad habits invisible and the cues for good habits impossible to miss.
Okay, so we've made the cue obvious. But how do we make sure we actually want to act on it? Well, that takes motivation, which brings us right to the second law. Make it attractive. For a habit to really stick, we've got to crave it.
And what do we humans want more than almost anything else? To fit in. We are absolutely wired for connection. We can't help but imitate the habits of the people around us because for thousands of years, belonging to the tribe was the key to survival. So if all your friends are into fitness, suddenly going to the gym becomes a very attractive thing to do.
And if you want to know just how powerful this social pull is, get this. There was this incredible study that followed over 12,000 people for more than 3 decades, just looking at how their social circles impacted their health.
Here's the kicker. The study found that a person's chance of becoming obese shot up by a massive 57% if they had a close friend who became obese. Your friend's habits literally rub off on you, whether you even realize it or not. That's the power of social norms.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Our desire to conform, to belong, is a deep, ancient instinct. So one of the most effective things you can do to build better habits is to join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior.
Okay, so we have our cue and it's obvious. We've made the habit attractive. But if it's too hard, we'll still find a way to avoid it. This leads us to the third law, and this one might be my favorite because it's just so practical. Make it easy.
Our brains are wired to conserve energy. It's called the law of least effort. We will almost always drift toward the easiest path. So instead of fighting against our own nature, we should use it. The secret is to reduce the friction, to lower the number of steps between you and whatever it is you want to do. And a brilliant way to do this is with the 2-minute rule. Whatever new habit you're trying to build, just scale it down until it takes less than 2 minutes. Read a book every night becomes read just 1 page. Study for class becomes just open my notes. See, the goal at first isn't about the results. It's about mastering the art of just showing up, because you can't improve a habit that you never start.
This is probably one of the best examples of this idea. The world-famous choreographer Twyla Tharp says her real habit wasn't the grueling 2-hour workout. No, it was the simple 2-minute ritual of getting dressed and hailing a cab to go to the gym. Once that was done, the hard part was over.
All right, we've made our habit obvious, attractive, and easy. There's just one more piece to the puzzle to make it really stick. We have to complete the loop. And that brings us to the final law. Make it satisfying.
So here is the fundamental challenge we all face. Our brains evolved in a world of immediate returns. We are literally hardwired for instant gratification. But today, we live in a delayed return world. The reward for going to the gym? You might not see that for weeks or months.
And this is the key. To make a good habit stick, you have to find a way to feel successful right now. Our brains love a payoff. We are designed to repeat behaviors that get rewarded immediately. It's that simple.
A super simple but really powerful way to do this is with a habit tracker. That simple act of just crossing an item off a list, it gives you an immediate little hit of satisfaction. It creates this visual proof of your progress, which builds momentum. And it helps you follow the most important rule of tracking: never miss twice.
Okay, so we have the 4 laws: make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. But all of them serve a much bigger idea, a really fundamental shift in how we think about progress itself.
Just let that one sink in for a minute. Winners and losers, they often have the exact same goals. So the goal itself isn't what makes the difference. What matters is the system of tiny, consistent habits they follow every single day. If you can just focus on the process, the results will absolutely take care of themselves.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question. What's just one tiny 2-minute habit that, if you did it consistently, could put your life on a completely new path? Because that right there is the real power of atomic habits.